Welcome, everyone. Namaste. Thank you for being here. Hip session today. And I started by putting a blanket on top of my mat so we can slide a little bit. And I want you to have with you and keep it close to your mat a pillow, a cushion, a bolster, anything that it's a little bit thick or a little tall, like you can see in this pillow, and then a strap. Okay. So these two, I'm going to use them a little later, but I'm going to have them close by so I don't have to stand up and go and find them. Okay. So the first thing that we do, as we many times do when we start this session, is to lie down on our mats, almost like if we want to rest the whole body and take a little nap, even though we are not doing that. And just take a moment to drop into your bones and to notice or bring the awareness a little bit onto your breath. For some of us, maybe we are starting the day. For some of us, it's the middle of the day. For some of us, it's just a little break in between things. So just pause, watch, and listen. Good. And notice if there's any area that feels sensitive. How is the breath in this moment? And try and slowly start inviting a gentle breathing cycle. I'm going to say that it's just like you don't have to maybe control it, but what I want it to be is fluid and just long. So you're going to try to keep that awareness into the breath being in this kind of like fluid manner, coming and going, almost like water. Okay. And a little bit of that quality of water we are going to use into our hips so we can open them up and create a little more space there. So as we start, the first thing that we're going to do is to bend both knees and bring the feet wide to the edges of your blankie, let's say. And then you're going to, if you have the space, I'm going to move because of my cat. Then you're going to extend your arms overhead. So give yourself a moment to just sense the stretch in the sides of your body. And then take with your right hand your left forearm and pull it a little further over the head, right, towards the top of your mat or behind you. And keep that and let both your knees drop over to your right. Now, because it's just the beginning, maybe the knees, they won't touch down. I don't want you to force them to touch the floor. Just let them drop where they are, okay? And take a deep inhalation here. Remember, we are trying to keep the breath fluid. Exhale. Then I'm coming back to center and I'm going to switch with my left hand. I'm catching or holding my right forearm. I'm pulling from there a little bit to feel the stretch in the sides. Nothing is forced or very big because I'm just starting. And then I'm letting both my knees drop to the left. And like I said before, you don't need to force the knees to touch down. Just let them easily drop with the weight and take a deep breath in and deep breath out. Good. Then I'm going to return to center and I'm going to bring my arms into a cactus shape or what we call a goalpost. And I'm going to do the same movement that I did before, but now I'm going to add more flow to it, okay? And again, don't force the knees to touch down. I'm just going one way and up and the other way and back and over. This starts bringing internal and external rotation into your hips. So we are starting to create this action of more fluidity and more blood flowing into your hip flexors and those joints. Okay, so one more time, side to side. And then I'm coming back to center. I'm bringing my feet a little closer to one another. And I'm going to take my right knee into the chest for a moment. So just hug it in. You can roll your right foot a few times, both directions, and also flex and point. Maybe wiggle your toes a little to feel a little more of the release. Maybe you hear snapping sounds or clicking sounds, which is normal. Good. And then I'm going to extend my left leg so it's just heavy on the floor. And instead of holding my knee here, I'm going to release my arms again. And I'm going to do 3 circles with my knee, trying to imagine that at the top of my knee, I have like a crayon or a marker, and I'm trying to draw circles with my knee. So I'm going for the same direction that I started at least 3-4 times. And you do not have to go fast, because this actually gives us an opportunity to get a little deeper into the flexors, okay? And then again, I'm just switching over, and now I'm doing 3-4 times to the second side. Again, this is a place where you may feel some clicking or snapping sounds. As long as there's no pain, that's very normal, because your joints may be a little compacted or sleepy and they are reopening, okay? After you did that for 4 each way, bring the knee back towards the chest, press it into your body, take a breath in and a breath out. And then again, I'm going to release my arms. This time I'm going to send my leg up without any belt, without anything. I'm actually inviting the leg to start pumping more blood. It's like in an inversion, right? But what I'm going to do here is to try and push through my heel. And if you can see my foot, I'm going to try and do like a windshield wiper with the leg. So I'm not opening the leg to the side. That's not the movement. The movement is mostly moving my leg to get into the hip socket, right? So the femur bone, the long bone of your leg, ends with like a head, right? It has a head of the bone, and it's like rotating onto that socket of the hip joint. Okay, that's what I'm doing. It may feel funny or a little kind of like intense, which is normal because we don't do this all the time, right? But I'm making you do it so we open the lower back and the hips. Awesome. After we did that, we bring the knee back in. And this time I'm going to put the foot down just for a little bit of a break. Take a breath here. Maybe you sense a little bit of burning sensation in the flexor. It's normal. Now what I'm going to do is to re-extend or extend that right leg. You can keep the arms into that cactus shape. And now I'm going to slide my leg up towards my pelvis. How do I do that? I'm going to bring my heel up, and then I'm going to press into the sole of my foot to lift the knee. Then I'm going to let it drop over to the left. And then I'm going to slide my leg back to stretching it again. So what I'm doing is kind of like a circle. When I'm starting and I'm bringing my heel towards the pelvis, the leg is doing like the tree pose, if you know that one in yoga, right? So I'm sliding the foot up and my knee stays on the side. Then I'm pressing with the sole of the foot. I'm taking the knee in and re-extending the leg. Got the idea? I hope you did. 3 more we do. Sliding the leg up, then over to the left and down. So in this motion that I'm doing, I'm inviting my hip to do external, neutral, internal rotation. So we are again oiling the joint, okay? I'm adding a couple more. Notice the breath, try to soften the face. This is my last one. And then I'm going to release there. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Good, let's go into the second side. So now you can rebend both knees. I'm going to start now on my left. I'm going to hug the knee into the chest. And I'm going to do a few circles with the foot first, flexing, pointing, trying to go side to side. I have some clicking sounds coming from my toes. Good, and after doing a few of those, I'm going to extend my right leg. I'm going to release my arms down again, and I'm going to do 4 circles with the knee. Again, like if I'm drawing with the top of my knee, big circles. Doesn't matter which way you're going first. Don't go super fast. Try and go slow. When we go slow, it gives us more of a chance to deepen the work, okay? And then after those 4, 3 to 4, you reverse it. And we go for the same amount or more or less the same repetitions. Notice if there's any difference in sensations in one side and the other. Good. At the end of that, no rush, right? I'm just guiding what's coming. I'm going to bend my knee again into the chest and press it down. Take a moment here. And then I'm going to extend the left leg up towards the skies. This motion that I'm doing, not only we're working on the hip, but it's also stretching the hamstring. So we are also opening the back of the leg. Once you get there, remember we are trying to do like a windshield wiper. So instead of opening the leg to the side, I'm not doing that one. I'm just swinging my foot, my leg, and of course, the whole line right onto the hip socket. So I'm going in and out a few times. Good. Just a couple more. I find this very useful to oil the joints and also make space in the lower back. Good. Once you're done, rebend that knee into the chest. Good. And then we re-extend that leg. Take a moment here. And again, I'm going to send my arms to the sides, and now I'm going to do that motion with the tree pose that I did on the other side. So maybe here you can see it better. I'm going to slide my heel up towards the pelvis. You see how I'm trying to keep my knee as heavy down as I can, okay? Then I'm pressing onto the sole of the foot, rotating the knee internally over to the right, and then re-extending. Okay, I'm gonna do 4 more of those. Inhaling. Exhaling. And I put the blankie because I want to try and slide onto my base instead of lifting the leg off the floor, okay? Good. A couple more. Noticing the sensations in the outer hip, in your pelvis, in your leg, of course, inner leg, the groin, and the outer area. Good. I'm adding one last. Usually when I'm guiding, I let my mind go somewhere else and I forget how many I'm doing. Good. So when we come down to the neutral, rest for a moment, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Good. This is the moment when I'm going to say, okay, if you have that pillow and belt close to you, that's what we are going to use now, okay? So I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to turn around now that my kitty is sitting at the window. So I'm going to put a pillow, cushion, anything that you have more or less at the height or the line where my hip is. Now that pillow is not touching my hip, it's a little bit outside my mat, okay? I hope you can see there. So it's not touching even my mat, it's a little further out, okay? And then I'm going to have like a regular strap. So the work that I'm going to do here is that I'm coming again onto my back. And you have the option the way you want to put the left foot on your blankie, or you can extend the leg. Usually when we start this type of shape, it's easier to have the foot on the mat. So I'm going to keep the left foot on my mat. I'm going to put my belt up into the end of my arch. So it's close to my heel. And then I'm going to extend the right leg up. So we already did this motion of extending the leg up before without the belt, right? So now I have a reference there or a resistance. So I'm going to pull, right? You can slide your hands down so the shoulders are a little more relaxed onto your mat. And then you're going to push through that right heel. The idea is not to lock your knee, but to open a little bit more the space behind the leg by contracting the muscles in the front of the leg. So that's what we want to do. You may be thinking, what has this to do with your hips? But if we open up the back of the leg, it's actually affecting the outer hip, and also the inner leg is connected to the hip flexor. So I'm trying to extend there and take a deep breath in and deep breath out. And the last thing that I want to say before I change this shape is that I want you to think on the back of your knee. So that skin or flesh that it's right there in the back of your knee. From that place, I want you to lift an arrow onto your heel. And from that same place, I want another arrow going down to your sitting bone. So my sitting bone is really grounding onto earth, right? Or becoming heavier than what it is. and the upper portion or the shin up is lighter and going up. Okay, so it's two lines of energy there. Take a deep breath in and deep breath out. Good. Now I'm going to use my pillow on the side. So I'm going to hold my belts on my right hand and I'm going to let my leg come over to that pillow. And it's important that you have that support because I don't want the leg to go all the way to the floor. So that pillow can be a little further out and support your shin, or you could, I'm just showing, you could bring it a little closer and it can support your knee or your thigh, right? So it's in the outer edge of your leg anywhere. Once you have that, I want you to keep pushing through your right heel and imagine you could move your belly from right to left. So bring an action, or maybe like just in your brain, thinking of how that right side that is close to your right hip or flexor, to move it away from that side over to the left. Okay. And if you can, and if you have the space, left arm goes out to the side like a T letter or maybe a cactus shape, and you bring your head also over to that left side. If you want to add here the extension on in the left leg, you can do so and keep pushing through your right heel. Taking a deep breath in, deep breath out. Then I'm slowly returning with the head, pushing through the heel. I'm going to bring that leg back up. And before I switch sides, I'm going to bend the knee, take the belt out, hug it into the chest. And with the knee bent and with my left hand, I'm going to bring that right knee over to the left. I'm going to push this so you can see me. And this time I'm going to extend my right arm to the side and I'm going to bring the chin over to the right. This should feel like a nice, yummy stretch, but don't push your right knee to touch the floor, okay? If it doesn't get there, it doesn't get there. I'm just letting my left hand kind of like become rested on top of the leg. And I'm trying to drop my right shoulder so we get an extra stretch for the upper back and the top of the chest. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. And then we are slowly coming back. Hug that right knee in. Extend the leg next to the other leg and just drop here for a breath. Good. Now we are going to switch everything. So if you have your pillow on the right side, just move it over to the left. And you're going to bring your belt, of course, again, so you have it close by. I'm going to change sides because I have a wall and I don't have the space. So I'm going to use this same side, okay? So now we are lying down still. We put the belt on top of the left heel or at the beginning of the heel. I keep my right foot on the blankie and I'm going to grab my sides of my belt so I can push from there, pressing through the heel. And I'm trying to extend the back of the leg by contracting the front leg muscles, okay? Remember, we are not locking the knee, but yes, from the back of the knee, you want to imagine that area, that flesh expanding. And not only that, we are sending one arrow all over up to the heel and one arrow from there going down towards your sitting bone and grounding that side so the hip opens up a little more. Okay, take a couple of breaths. One more. And then I'm holding both belts or sides of the belt with my left hand. I have my pillow there. I'm going to slowly start opening the leg over to that left side. If that pillow feels like it's too low, you can also add an extra blanket on top or a block on top if you have, or anything to make it taller, okay? The idea is not to touch down with that leg onto the floor. When I get there and I can feel my pelvis broadening a little more, then I'm going to extend the right leg if that's possible for you. And now I want you to imagine that left side of the belly moving over to the right. Okay, stay there, keep pushing through your left heel, keep the face soft, Bring your right arm out to the side like a cactus or a T letter, and then you can bring your chin over to that right side. So the chin, same as the belly, are moving over to the right as I'm pushing through the left heel. Nice, then I'm coming back with the head. I'm pushing through my heel to bring the leg back up. I'm going to bend the knee, take that belt out, hug the knee into the chest. Good, and then I'm just making a little bit of space to bring with my right hand that left knee over. And I'm going to send my left arm to the side. You may notice that your left shoulder doesn't touch down. It's okay. Just try to maybe wiggle a little bit the upper back so you can let that left side drop a little more. And if you feel okay here, you can bring the chin over to your left, and we stay here for just a couple of breaths. Time goes super fast. Good, another breath here. And then we slowly return with the head, bringing the knee back in towards the chest, hug it for one breath. And then let that leg straighten next to the right one. Take another breath here and notice both sides. Good, before I make you stand up, we're going to do something standing, but before we do that, I want you to bend both your knees again and just catch your right foot. So it's like what we call a happy baby, but it's only on one side. And now that I have that foot, if you cannot grab your foot, then you take the belt again. I'm gonna show just in case. And you just put that belt there and you pull from the belt, okay? So it's all cool. You can use one or the other. I have long arms, so it makes it easier. And then from there, what I'm trying to do is to bring my knee down towards the floor. And maybe you can see how my left butt cheek is lifted. It's not touching my blanket, and it's okay. So I'm going to let that butt cheek or sitting bone lift, and I'm going to try and bring my right knee a little further down to the floor. It doesn't matter if it doesn't touch the floor, okay? But I'm lifting here so I can lower on the other end. Take a breath. Good. Then slowly release, putting the foot down. And now I'm going to show you on the other side so you may see the different side, right, of it. So I'm going to hold that left foot, or you take the belt and strap your foot to pull it down. And then from there, I'm going to pull down so I can bring that knee a little closer to the floor. Now you may be saying, oh, wow, she can touch down. Yeah, I'm touching down, but because my right butt is lifted, right? So I'm letting that other side lift so this side can come down. And again, it doesn't matter if your knee doesn't touch down, okay? For each person is different depending on your activities. So just bring that knee as far down as it comes for today, where you feel it's enough. That's the place to stay, and take a breath. Then I'm returning, releasing that foot. Good. Bring both knees to the chest. Rock a little bit side to side. Nice. Let's roll over to the side and push up towards sitting. There are so many things that we could do for the hips, but I only have 30 minutes, but I want to show you another thing that can be super helpful. So I'm moving my blankie out, and I'm going to stand for a moment. And for this one, I'm going to recommend that maybe having blocks or something that it's a little helpful to have as stands will be of use, okay? So I'm going to leave them there. What I'm going to do is to put first my right foot in front, and instead of pressing the whole foot down, I'm going to push through my heel, okay? So you see how my toes are lifted. I'm going to grab my blocks in front of me, and I'm going to have my back leg, it's a little bend. And what I did was to take like a step back with my left foot. So it's not super long, right? It's not this, it's not like a lunging posture. It's much closer, like one step behind. And then again, I'm gonna show what I did is to lift my toes on the front foot and keep my back knee bent. Okay. And now, as I'm holding my blocks, which are very helpful here, two things I'm going to do. One is to extend my spine, and the other one is to do the movement that we did before, like the windshield wiper with my right leg. So I'm pushing onto, of course, my heel, and I'm swinging my leg and also my hips. Well, I'm all in black today, but my hips are moving also side to side. So maybe you can see that. So I'm doing a little bit of that. This is also super good for the hip flexors, the hip joint in general. And as I'm doing that, I'm trying to elongate the spine as well, okay? One or two more. Good. Then you're gonna bring both feet parallel to one another, right? You can use those blocks or whatever it is that you're using there. Fold over the legs. Keep the knees bent a little bit. Let the spine cascade over your legs. Good. And then I'm going to push my block so I can lift myself a little again, and I'm switching sides. So my right foot is going to go back a little. My left leg is coming in front a little. And instead of keeping both legs straight, I'm going to first lift my toes right on my left foot. So I'm pushing through the heel, just so you see it. And then my back leg is a little bit bent. So from here, I'm elongating the spine. I keep my left heel pushing down. And now I'm just moving the block so you can see that windshield wiper motion, right? With my foot, I hope you can see it. It's going in and out, okay? So as you go in and out, your hips will move, your pelvis will move, and we are oiling that hip joint. And I'm also trying to extend the spine, okay, towards the front of my mat. Go for a couple more. Nice. Good. And then I'm coming back, both feet parallel to one another. Again, I'm folding my torso over the legs. Bend the knees if you need. And you can also swing a little bit side to side. Good. Okay, let's bring the hands to the hips, roll your shoulders back, lengthen the spine forward, and as you press through the heels, you come all the way up. Good. Shake it a little. Good. A little bit more work. We still have a couple of minutes. I'm going to mirror you guys. So I'm going to press onto my right foot, for all of us, right foot, for me it's the left, and I'm going to try and lift the left knee and grab it into the chest. How do I do this? I have to firm my hips into one another. So imagine like a skewer, you press your hips in and you send your sacrum down, and also try and lift the chest. Okay, so we are elongating the spine. Good. Another game. Right hand into your right hip. See if you can open the knee to the side and then bring it in. Okay, one more. Out and in. If you feel very creative today and you want to play with it without the hands, you can go in and out a couple of times. Okay, so we create more mobility in the hips. And then release it and shake it. Yay. Smile, important for the practice. Don't take it too seriously. It's just part of the games that we do to create more space in the body. Now I'm going to press into the left foot for you guys. You can have your hands on your hips, lift through the right knee. Good, hug it in, lengthen the spine, elongate your sacrum down, and firm the hips in. I'm also trying to engage my lower abdomen into my body, okay? And then with your hand, you can go and open, maybe a little, maybe not. You can hold a wall if you need, or a coffee table, or a mantle, or anything that you have close to you for furniture. And you can also play with maybe taking that leg out and in without a lot of help. Awesome. And then you release and you shake it a little. Very nice. Okay, let's widen the feet a little bit here. And as you can see, I'm not sending them super wide. It's a little more than my hips. I'm going to put my hands on my hips and I'm going to try and fold, but I want to show you sideways. This is the last one, okay? Usually when we fold, we push the hips back. You see how my hips are going backwards? I don't want to do that. I want us to try and keep the hips above the heels and just fold forward with a long spine. That will fire your hip flexors a little more, because instead of pushing backwards, I have to use more strength and more core. So see if you can go a little bit down and then you come up. Good, one more like that. We are almost at the end. Okay, again, I'm trying to keep my hips over my heels without pushing them too far back, and then back up. Good, release it here. Let's take a deep breath in, sending the arms up. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart. Thank you guys so much for joining hip work today to find space and flexibility. And I hope to see you again next week. Namaste.